spinning. Meantime, I'll put a little bit more titanium, fast drying alkyd, titanium alkyd, of course. All right, I think we might be ready to go. Daily Art Adventure number 589. Woohoo! Almost to 590, which means we're almost to 600. Ready, set, clap. Hello, friends. My name is Dan. Thank you for joining me today. I started this painting yesterday. You can go back and watch me do that if you like. And since I left you yesterday, I did 3 or 4, I think. 4 more layers of acrylic, line, dark details, glazes, and then white. And then I've done a glaze over the entire canvas. And some of my glazes, like down here on this painting and down here in this corner, went quite dark, but they're still transparent. You can see the magical stuff happening underneath the oil. It's one of the things I like so much about this technique that I've stumbled upon. And then after doing the glaze, I went ahead, I did 2 things. One is I took these oil sticks, in particular red and orange, yellow and yellow ochre. Just made pretty much random strokes. Almost anything goes anywhere, almost. Even some up in the sky, I think. And I'm still seeing some of the earlier, for those of you who are interested, these are watercolor sticks. So in the acrylic stage, I've started using watercolor sticks to make abstract mess. And in the oil stage, I'm using paint sticks. So those are both fairly new developments in my painting technique. I've been using, of course, pencils, sort of greasy pencils, a wax-based carbon pencil for a couple years now. All right, so I did pencil on this one, then drew the whole thing in pencil. Let me bring you in real close for part of it, just so you can see what's going on at the moment. So it's time to do the fuzz layer, and I believe I'm going to do just one broadcast with nothing but this magical mystery phase that I call the fuzz layer. Okay, now to define, it's quite simple. Translucent. And you all know what that means if you just think about it. People get confused. I know I say this all the time, but I still continue to hear people get confused. They want to say transparent, but all of a sudden, this is, you know, not everybody's brain works in the same way. And this is one of those little stumblings that people, if they're not, strong suit is not language, they want to say transparent, but all of a sudden, right before it comes out, they go, that ain't right, inside their brain. That sounds too elementary. I want to sound more sophisticated than that. So they say, translucent. That sounds more highfalutin and esoteric. So they say the word translucent when they normally they mean transparent. So just make sure we all understand. Transparent, clear like glass. Translucent, fuzzy like a frosted light bulb or fluorescent light bulb, right? Like this light bulb up here is frosted. So the fuzz layer is translucent, soft edges, soft edges. I said yesterday, some of you think that if this is your line, if you go 1/4 inch each side of that line, to you, that it would be radical softness. But I sometimes, on a painting, it's all relative to the size of the painting, but on a painting this size, sometimes I'll go 3 inches on either side of a line. That's soft, okay? So recalibrate what you, and most of you, if you're an artist and you're listening to me, most of you fit this description, or fit this quote. I'm tight, but I want to get loose. That's about 99% of us. And that applies to me, and it applies to most of you. So those of you that fit that description, then listen to me. Loose can mean, on a painting this size, 3 inches either side of the line. That's loose. Okay? The reason people don't paint loose is because they know they think they know they're supposed to want to get loose, but they're not really committed. Anyway, I'll save that lecture for another time. So the 3 characteristics of the fuzz layer. Translucent, you can see through it. It's fuzzy, you can see through it. It's not transparent, it's frosted. Translucent, soft edges, and local color. All right, with that, let's get started. These 2 look like likely suspect brushes. And where do you start this? The answer is anywhere you want. Now, okay, here's one of my references for this job. There's a photo that I've tweaked in Photoshop, and I've got this taped up over here to my right, taped onto my bookshelf, my bookcase, in my extremely high-tech studio. That's a joke. I like my studio. It's got enough high-tech in it, but it's not. Anyway, and then here's another reference. This is a previous painting that I've done, and my client, the people that I'm doing this painting for, really like this painting. So I pay attention to that, right? In fact, let me go ahead and tape that up over here as well. I'm not copying it, of course, not at all. But I am being influenced in my color choices by the fact that they really, really, really liked that painting. I don't mind that a bit. I don't feel like I'm being violent, like my creativity is being squashed. Again, here's my old joke. We have a name for people whose artists, we have a name for artists who are always getting offended because their creativity is being impinged upon. You know what we call those people? You know, starving artists, that's right. All right, so I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit, then every once in a while I might be able to show you my palette. So there's my palette. Picking up just a little bit of white. And I'm going to start my fuzz layer today for no necessarily good reason. It's just what I feel like doing. I'm going to start with some of the orange glow. So another name, a couple other names for the fuzz layer could be the glow layer. That would be a very fair description. The glow layer. Another reasonable label would be the atmospheric perspective layer, even though it's a lot more than just atmospheric perspective, but it is certainly in this layer that I make sure I've got lots of atmospheric perspective going on. Another label that you could slap on this stage, you could call it the edge control. Again, that's an expression I don't ever remember hearing before a couple years ago. But you know how things go. You think you'd never hear them, and then you hear it, it registers, and then it seems like you hear it everywhere. So I think that's the way it is. I don't think it's something new. I think I just never really paid much attention to that particular expression, edge control, till I read it in a Richard Schmid book. And then after that, it seems like all the artists I hear and read about, all the artists I read, are using that term. And that's a good description. This layer all by itself does not constitute edge control, but this layer has a lot to do with edge control. That is to say, in this particular layer, I'm doing extreme soft edges. And that, as you know, is born out of a realization that raised up and smacked me in the face about 5 years ago, 4 years ago maybe, which was, again, if you follow me often, you've heard me say this before, so let me repeat it. The realization was, it's almost impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges. Almost impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges. Very easy. In fact, you can tell by the way I'm saying this, the fact is, most paintings have too many hard edges. And it is the masters among us, I'm not claiming to be one here, I'm just talking about those who are masters. The master painters among us. This is one of the secrets, which I'm trying to make not a secret. This is one of the secrets they know. The magic, the beauty, the absolute importance of soft edges. So having become convinced of that reality. What reality? The reality that paintings need to have lots and lots of soft edges. Having become convinced of that reality, then you see it being fleshed out in, right now, in my painting technique, in particular with this layer that I call the fuzz layer. All right, so that's some of the philosophical background. Why do I do a fuzz layer? I just gave you several of the answers, okay? And one thing I haven't done yet, just let you know where I'm going. I haven't done any sky atmosphere yet. I'm doing lots of soft stuff, but none of it in the sky. And that is absolutely yet to come. Now, the third characteristic of the fuzz layer that I mentioned at the beginning when I was lining out the characteristics of the fuzz layer, the third that I didn't emphasize is local color. Local color is what artists call realistic, you know, sky is blue, grass is green, roses are red, violets are blue kind of color. And so if there's any part of the painting that needs to be color corrected, typically I do that now. And I will certainly be doing that in the sky in a few minutes. I have also discovered that because my fuzz layer, as you can see, it covers up right much of the canvas, and you know, because I'm not staying inside the lines anywhere. So I've discovered that, by the way, I'm color correcting up here. that building, the side of that building a minute ago was very blue, and I don't want it quite that blue. I like the blue peeking through, but I don't like it quite as blue as it was. So I just browned it, if you will. Right now, I wish I had larger brushes in my hand. This would be... All right, I think I'm going to stop there. We'll clean those brushes later. Let's grab a couple more. You know what, though? I'm going to have to take a minute and lower this easel because I can't quite reach. If I step on my toes and stretch, I can reach the top of the canvas, but there we go. All right, I'm going to start at the top of the canvas, at the top of the sky. Make first of all color corrections. This is definitely a dramatic sky. It's actually quite nice. Let me show you the photograph that I'm looking at again. It's a picture of a previous painting. Can you see that? I'm afraid you're getting all glare. Anyway, that's what I'm looking at right at the moment, because that's what the client said they liked. Add a little violet to that. Ooh, too much violet. Oh boy, here we go again. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm painting the sky, but I just made a mark that came either all the way to here, maybe even all the way to there. That's 10 inches, nearly a foot away from the sky. Again, take note, those of you who are, you say to one another that you are tight and you'd like to get loose, then get loose. Stop talking about it, just do it. Sometimes you need somebody to talk to you that way. I just have enough nerve to do it. And I've mentioned before that, especially with this, what I call the fuzz layer, doing it with two hands is a distinct advantage, because my brain, my mind can't quite keep up with two hands going at breakneck speed. So I just sort of turn my hands on like a lawnmower, chainsaw. That was a chainsaw, I guess, and tell my hands to go, make these kind of movements, and my hands do. My brain isn't trying to follow, of course, every stroke that I'm making. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure that you can see that. Therefore, I don't have time to overthink it and get nervous about what I'm doing. That looks nice. Painting skies is a particular challenge for me. This will be counterintuitive for some of you. Painting skies are a particular challenge for me because, I don't want to sound arrogant, but because painting realistic skies is so easy for me, okay? I love skies. I love studying clouds, play of light. I have my whole life, my whole adult life. And I'm really good, if you will, at painting realistic skies. Therefore, it's a real easy trap for me to slip into, of slipping into the wrong mind, a realist mind, and start, sort of tongue painting, so to speak. Tongue painting a pretty sky. Really easy for me to do. And it's, again, part of the reason why I paint skies so crazy is to keep myself from slipping into that habit. A little bit of reflection in these windows. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I think I'm just about done. I've got some dark stuff here I don't like. It's too dark. Let's lighten that up. Oh, okay, so I'm stuttering and sputtering. I want to do some blue on this building, this one too, these two buildings over here. Let me show you the photograph and why I'm doing. Well, here's the previous painting. You see how blue, this is the same building from the opposite side, but very blue, a little bit of blue there. So that makes me think my client was attracted to that. And then here's the photograph that I'm working from that has a lot of blue right there. And of course, I edited these photographs in Photoshop to achieve roughly the color palette that I wanted. I'm sure that makes sense to you. That's easy to understand. No surprise there. I'm not saying anything esoteric. In other words. All right, so again, this is part of the color correction, local color strategy or aspect of the fuzz layer. And then this building right here has very definite pattern in it. Brown, blue, brown, blue, brown. The windows are very blue, and the concrete siding in between looks sort of like a stucco-ish kind of siding is very brown. So there, that's what that represents. Now, time out again just for a moment. Bear with me while I raise my easel back up. Yeah, it's at moments like this that I miss my my nice big easels that are downstairs. For those of you who are new, perhaps, to my channel, why am I painting upstairs in my office? I have a very beautifully apportioned, if I can use that good old word, very nicely apportioned studio downstairs with a big sunny easel in it. Why don't I paint down there? Well, the answer is because my grandchildren live with me. And I love having them live here, but trying to get them to be quiet when I'm talking to you guys is it's a losing proposition. So I have escaped upstairs to my upstairs studio. A little bit of local color here. Okay, just a little bit more I'm going to do in the fuzz layer, and then I'm going to end this broadcast, and I might broadcast again later today. We'll see. With the what I call the final edit layer. Now, it used to be that the final edit layer was in fact the final layer, but it is no longer. There are at least 2 layers after that. So I'm going to do final edit, then I do broken color, then I let the entire painting dry for at least a day. Usually 1 day is sufficient, and then come back on a second day and do glazes over the entire painting, and then touch up whichever parts of the painting need touching up. There's always something that, of course, always something that needs touching up after the glazes. Anyway, so I'm just about finished with the fuzz layer. I picked up some small brushes. I was going to do some traffic light things, but then I looked up and said, wait a minute. This building right here, this blue building, needs to have some lighter, brighter colors in it. Plus, I want a little bit of this paler blue in the sky. Okay, now, definitely some way smaller brushes. Let's start with a little bit of tighter glow. Down here where I think there will be cars, down here around this building. So again, so I'm doing the fuzz layer, soft edges, but a little bit more refined than what I was doing just a few minutes ago. Part of the charm of this particular view of this main street, it's called Fayetteville Street in Raleigh. It is our main street. It's called Fayetteville Street. In the morning is the way the sun comes between some of these big buildings down here and sweeps across the street. I want to make sure that I get plenty of that glow already happening before I advance to the final edit layer. The final edit layer is just like it sounds. It's just like in a final edit in literature, theater, or in writing, right? It's where you fix all the little things that need fixing. Right now, I'm not doing that. Now I'm free to paint fairly messy, still pretty loose here, right? Another way to describe my particular painting technique. By no means the only way to paint. In fact, not even the way I paint is not even typical. I make no such claim. Now, when I'm teaching in art class, I do say this is the best way to paint. You know, if the class ends at 4 o'clock, then typically I say my way is the right way until 4:01, right? So make that joke repeatedly so that people understand the way that I paint is actually quite unconventional. You know, I didn't get here all at once. It's been a long evolutionary process. I didn't get this crazy all at once. In other words, it took me a while. And there were many detours and self-doubts along the way. Like, man, should I really paint this weird? I look, at other award-winning artists and go, man, maybe I should paint more like them. And usually the feeling passes after just a few minutes of serious reflection. So again, you guys, nobody out there is supposed to paint like me. You can be influenced by me. In fact, I hope you will be influenced by me. But you can't paint like me any more than I can paint like some of my heroes. Oh, I just had a name in my head. It just went out of my name. Good grief. My friend, so to speak. He is a friend of a lot of my friends from Australia. Oh, good grief. I shouldn't say that because now I can't remember his name. All right. Isn't that fun? Just that little bit that I just did there, that's made quite a difference. Now I'm going to hit a couple. Oh, yeah, there are some street lights. I'm glad I looked closely. There are some street lights. And you know what else? There are some flags in here. I didn't even think about including flags. That's a serious omission there. All right. I just barely I got in under the wire. I can add something now. You can't add something at the final edit layer, because it'll look like a last-minute stuck-on postage stamp. But I can add some traffic lights. So I'm going to add really quite a bit of red to the painting right. Little bits of, what am I trying to say? Concentrated bits of red. There's some traffic lights right here. Right there, and right there. And then I'm going to do tail light red, I'll call it. And then some flags. Phew. I would not have been happy if the client had come back and say, hey, where'd all the flags go? We liked the flags. They haven't said that to me. They didn't mention flags, but I showed them these photographs and they said, yeah, we like them. And so probably a good idea if I include some flags. Besides, they're a nice decorative element in the painting, a nice color accent. So do you see how I did that? This red represents flags. This red down here represents what will become tail lights. I'm going to go ahead and ghost in just a little bit brighter orange then. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to do, again with these small brushes, is do some fuzzy light blue reflection on the cars. I've already done some, but need to do more. And then I'll be done with the fuzz layer. That'll be it. Hey, let's. For some reason, I'm not getting your chat. Come on. Forgive me for just a minute. Let me work on my monitor here. There we go. Now I'll look at your chats in just a minute. So again, the last thing I'm going to do in the fuzz layer. It would be kind of fun to see if I had taken a picture of this right before the fuzz layer and what it looks like now. Quite a difference, eh? You can, yes, those of you who have been with me perhaps from the beginning of this broadcast or near the beginning, quite a difference. And all these marks down here, the fuzz layer has nothing to do with dark marks. Okay, it's all got white mixed in with it. It's translucent. That means it's opaque paint applied very thinly. You know then, of course, that it's light color. The fuzz layer has nothing to do with dark bits. Right? I think I'm good enough. Now, let me tell you real quickly where I may be going from here. Yeah, I've covered up so much of the drawing that I'll certainly in here. I'm going to come back with these pencils, these wax-based carbon pencils, and redraw some things. That's probably all. Although at the same time, I'll just do some random marks like that. And so I'm going to do a little bit of drawing, and I won't broadcast that part. It's too small and detailed and finicky. And then I launch into Final Edit. And just to comment, let me zoom in here again at some different parts of this painting. What I just did is so messy that it could make you or me could make the painter quite nervous because it's so messy. But I've learned not to get scared, because in the Final Edit layer, which is much more hard edges, okay, this is all soft. So right now my painting is, if I may, my painting is over soft. Does that make sense? That's a really good place to be, because most paintings are over hard. Most paintings have too many hard edges. So for me to be at this point in the painting process, and my painting actually has not enough hard edges, that's a really good place to be, because hard edges are easy. Okay? I think that's one of the lessons that we're learning here. It's not hard doing details, sticking out your tongue and doing a fine edge. That's easy. It's quite the opposite that is what's difficult. Okay, so let me look at your chats here. Thank you for your comments. And David is saying, are there any street lights? That's a good question. There are, David. That's a good point. I don't know if they're not turned on in any of the photographs. Of course, you know me. You do know me. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean I might not turn on some street lights. Let me think about that. After I stop the video, I'll think about that, David. That's a good possibility. This is a morning shot, and none of the lights are on, but maybe I should. Good thought. Let me think about it. Yeah, David, you caught me being humble again. Hi, Jane. Thank you for your comment. Orange pinkish. Good idea. Make it that's some of the window could use some light, like if someone was home. There's a thought. Should I turn on a light as if... Again, I'll consider that as well, David. All right, that's all the comments. Appreciate it, you guys. I'm going to end this broadcast here and plan to come back either, well, it's already evening, so this evening, when I am back to doing details, if you will, and final